Welcome back to the first episode of Season 2 of the Metallica Re-Remastered series. Today we're going to be taking an in-depth look at the first song off Metallica's second album, Ride the Lightning, Fight Fire with Fire. But before we do, if you're new here, please subscribe. Also, if you haven't seen the first 10 episodes and re-remastered songs for Kill 'Em All, please check those out. Alright, let's get started. Written by James Hetfield, Lars Ulrich, and Cliff Burton, Fight Fire with Fire is the first song off Metallica's second album, Ride the Lightning, and the first song credited to Cliff. The song itself is quite the album opener. A lot happens in a very short amount of time. Let's check it out. And let's head back into the library. Song 0201 is Fight Fire with Fire. And as you can see, we have the unaltered remaster right here, the enhanced bass remaster right here, which has the effects chains Ride Bass 1 and Ride Bass 2, and the Cliff Burton bass track split into many pieces to line up with the drums and guitars of the remaster. So let's start with the obvious, the elephant in the room. In the beginning of the song, 30 plus years as a Metallica fan, I never knew that Cliff does this. Right, so if you unsolo that, but if you just solo the remaster, I challenge you to hear Cliff. I mean, barely. So that's a testimony to how tightly mixed his volume was. To understand why Jason Newsted's bass parts were turned down on A Justice for All, one needs to understand the dynamic between Cliff Burton and Fleming Rasmussen. This video was made around the time of the 30th anniversary reissued remaster of Master of Puppets, and it features Metallica and Fleming Rasmussen. I do not wish to take this video out of context. If you watch the whole video, it's uploaded by Metallica. James, Lars, and Kirk rave about what Cliff brought to the band, to the songs, to the albums, to their experience, his knowledge of music. Eventually they bring in Fleming Rasmussen to speak, and eventually Fleming brings up Cliff, and he has this little anecdote about Cliff.
And I remember Cliff was not a fan of headphones and would stick his bass in another room and he'd jump around in there playing. So you'd see this hair thing jumping up and down in the control room.
Headphones would never stay on that head.
No, exactly.
No,
so yeah.
As soon as you started playing,
And we
it
had
was just this automatic,
we had like a big pair of JBLs that we fired up.
I can remember you complaining about him though, because he'd come into at the top of the session. He'd have one hand a beer, another hand a pipe, drink a beer, smoke, and he'd go, "I'm ready."
Yeah, I'm loose now. All right, we don't want you to lose. We want it tight, goddammit.
Now there are many Fleming Rasmussen interviews in which he explained how they recorded these albums, and the takeaway is Lars did multiple takes and the tapes were taped together reel to reel. James was a perfectionist and did multiple punches so that everything was perfect. They were both perfectionists. And Cliff had his own process of he wanted to be inspired when he recorded, and he had to do it in a live take. So you factor all that together, you have Fleming and James and Lars, they're all perfectionists, and you have Cliff who wants to come in and kind of just be the muse. You could see how maybe there's a little bit of give and take between what Cliff does and how much of it appears on the albums. And to show you what I'm talking about, earlier I showed you the bass part tucked neatly away inside the guitar part as of a result of the mix. Here's the actual loud part of the song. I picked this section because both rhythm guitars are full volume and full distortion, and Cliff and Lars are playing extremely loud and fast. Let's just check out the remaster and what it sounds like. You can hear the bass. It's in there. Let's hear exactly what Cliff's playing. So Fleming had a great gift for keeping Cliff in the mix, just not loud enough to really tell what he was doing. You could hear the plucking of the fingers, you could hear his tone a little bit, but you really couldn't ever hear the detail of what he was playing, but you could still hear Cliff. This is the enhanced track. Doesn't sound like much, but when I get to a song like Escape, which has no isolated bass track, it creates a similarity between all the songs on the album. This is Cliff by himself. And now all of it together sounds like this. Cool. One of the things I used to show off more Cliff without having this become bass in your face was the automation lane. And I used it sparingly, as you can see. I used it on this first section right here. because Cliff is literally slapping the strings. You can hear it on the album. It's plenty loud. With the bass boosted, it's too loud. Right here, I used it again. This is what this part of the song sounds like on the remaster, because I never heard this until I heard the isolated bass track. Maybe it just got past me, but check this out. I don't know if you heard that, but Cliff actually plays this. So I gave that a 1 decibel boost, maybe even a half decibel, I think. But this is what it sounds like with the remaster and the enhanced together. Alright, I did that also right here as well. Get a little closer to it. And this part right here, I want you to hear this just by itself. I never heard this on the album either. Maybe I was just listening to the guitar as a kid, but just check this out. The what? Exactly. That's on the album apparently. If you listen, this is what it sounds like on the remaster, which is the actual recording, I guess. Check this out. This is what you hear. This is what Fleming let us hear. It's pretty tight, but yeah, so I had to boost that. All together now with the enhanced track included, it sounds like this. Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Back down to the automation lane. And this part right here, check out what Cliff plays during the solo. You have to hear this. Right, now, right there, he's actually getting in that extra note because James is going to dun and dun and dun, and Cliff's going to do 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 do. So Cliff's getting this extra swing note on there. Not sure if you're picking that up, but check out right here. So Cliff plays it again on the last time, you know, when he has the G and the F sharp and the F. Right. Now this last part, the last time he does that, because he does it 4 times, on the 4th time he does it, right here, he does chords. Right? So it sounds like this all together. And right here I also boosted this as well. It's just a little, like a little slide up the fretboard as the phrase ends. And I didn't get into cut and pasting for a damn good reason, but I was tempted to with this song for 2 reasons. One, right here, you see this mess of splits? The 3rd verse of this song just got hacked to shreds by YouTube compression. But I figured out how to make it all fit to the drums, and I really wanted to just cut the 1st or 2nd verse and put it there. And right here, this last time where Cliff does that little octave run, the 3rd time he nails it so well. I wanted to use it for the 1st and 2nd time. I said, no, I'm not doing that because each one of those has its own personality. But this one, just check this out, the way he nails it in regards to time with the band. He really knocked that out of the park. And that's pretty much it. And all told, Fight Fire with Fire had 103 splits across 4 minutes and 44 seconds, which equates to 1 split every 2.76 seconds. Wasn't that bad. It was tricky in the beginning, it mellowed in the middle, but verse 3 was just horrific. And now our moment of guitar architecture, which comes later in the episode for a reason. I told you before how Metallica mixes consist of the drums in stereo, Cliff's bass in mono, and James on rhythm guitar left and right, with Kirk on lead guitar in the center channel and James's lead vocals in the center channel. Well, Fight Fire with Fire takes that to a whole new level, because at the end of the song, after the main guitar solo from Kirk Hammett, there's a harmony guitar solo, which features James Hetfield on the left harmony guitar and Kirk Hammett on the right harmony guitar. And that mix structure is unique to Ride the Lightning, because on Master of Puppets and Justice for All and the Black Album, all harmony solos like Orion, To Live Is To Die, and My Friend of Misery all James Hetfield. And now it's time for the in-album Lifeline segment brought to you by Fresh Produce. No, not the brand, the concept. Eat your fruits and veggies. In this segment, I always ask the question, would I trade? If the song that I'm working on has an isolated bass track, would I trade it for a song that doesn't? And if the song that I'm working on does not have an isolated bass track, would I trade it for one that does? Well, in the case of Ride the Lightning, 6 of the 8 songs have isolated bass tracks, and the 2 that don't are Escape and The Call of Cthulhu. And with regards to Fight Fire with Fire, when up against Escape, the song that they wrote in the studio because the record company wanted one more song, the song they never played live, the fans' least favorite song on the album, I would say I would not trade. But when up against The Call of Cthulhu, the instrumental on the album featuring Cliff Burton's epic bass solo mixed so low that you can barely hear it, I would say I would definitely trade Fight Fire with Fire's isolated bass track to get one for The Call of Cthulhu. Episode 1, Fight Fire with Fire, is done. Fight Fire with Fire Re-Remastered is next, followed by an episode for the title track, Ride the Lightning, which is going to be interesting because I'm still splitting that bass track. Alright, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. This is the Metallica Re-Remastered series. Stay tuned for more.